Hello, everyone. Welcome to Barca News. It is December 30th, 2024, and the precautionary measure that Barcelona were hoping to obtain for the registrations of Dani Olmo and Pau Victor has been denied by the Court of Appeals. Also, Newcastle have set a price for Alexander Isak. And finally, looks like Athletic Club de Bilbao are starting to get ready to part ways with Nico Williams. We have a lot to discuss, so let's begin. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the channel. My name is Mo. This is the Barca News Live podcast, where not only do we discuss Barcelona news, but where I also get to interact with you lovely people in the chat section by reading your comments, answering your questions, and getting the discussion going. For those of you who will be watching when this podcast ends, I will be putting timestamps in the description and chapters in the timeline in case you do want to skip through the discussion and go straight into the news. Having said all of that, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment. If y'all looking for any Barcelona jerseys or merchandise, make sure to Goal Kit, Skate Bag, or Fanatics. If y'all looking to place any sports bets, make sure to bet us. All links are down below in the description. Now let's begin with the news. And the first one is bad news, but nonetheless expected news, because today the Court of First Instance denied Barcelona's request to register both Pau Victor and Dani Olmo under a precautionary measure until the end of the season. As you know, Barcelona had applied to register both Olmo and Pau Victor under a precautionary measure. They applied that to the commercial court in the city of Barcelona, commercial court number 10 to be more specific. They had the hearing last Monday, and around Thursday, the court ruled that no, Barcelona cannot register both players under the precautionary measure. So then Barcelona went to a different court, this time to the Court of First Instance, where today the court also ruled that Barcelona will not be able to register both Pau Victor and Dani Olmo. And as such, the only way that Barcelona will be able to register both players is going to be through the VIP box deal that Joan Laporta was able to negotiate while he was in Dubai. And as you know, as soon as the first court, the commercial court, ruled that Barcelona could not register both players, Joan Laporta traveled to Dubai, where he negotiated with a Qatari, or they're saying now it's two companies, but they're Qatari investors, to sell VIP boxes to these companies for a period of 20 years in exchange for 100 million euros. That deal was completely negotiated. The contract was drafted. The investors signed it. And then Joan Laporta came back to Barcelona without signing his end, because first Laporta wanted to see what was going to happen with the Court of First Instance. And now that the Court of First Instance has denied Barcelona's request, then now Joan Laporta will be forced to sign that contract. Barcelona will sell those VIP boxes to these Qatari investors for 20 years in exchange of 100 million euros in order to register both Dani Olmo and Pau Victor. Now, Barcelona have already submitted all the paperwork to La Liga of this deal, the VIP deal, the VIP box deal, submitted all the paperwork to La Liga, and this paperwork is pending approval. Now, what's holding up the approval? Well, the arrival of the money, which of course is understandable, because remember back when Barcelona signed the Libero deal, the German investment fund deal, where they sold Barca shares of Barca Vision to this investment fund. They went to La Liga, said, look, we agreed they're going to buy it for 200 million euros. It's going to be a payment plan. La Liga was like, all right, we trust you. You signed this agreement with them. I'm sure they're going to pay. And well, lo and behold, these Germans did not pay. So now La Liga is like, sorry, but I cannot approve anything until I see the money in your bank account. I no longer can take your word for it. I cannot take the contract word for it. I want to see the money in the account, which of course is completely understandable. If I was in the place of La Liga, I would do exactly the same. So now the only thing pending this approval is the money hitting Barcelona's bank account. Once the money is in there, it's expected that La Liga is going to approve this deal, and that Barcelona will reach the 1-to-1 rule, and that both Dani Olmo and Pau Victor will be registered. Now, as I explained in yesterday's video, which if you haven't seen it yet, make sure to check it out, because there's very important details in there about the 1-to-1 rule. How did we end up here, etc., etc. But this will only be enough for Barcelona to reach the 1-1 rule during this season. Why? Because in the summer, the German investment fund Libero was supposed to pay us another 60 million euros, which of course they're not going to. And that means that Barcelona once again are going to be negative 60 million in their budget. So Barcelona are going to have to find a different way to make those 60 million euros back, whether it's through the sales of players, signing a new sponsorship, whatever it may be, selling the furniture in the Barcelona offices. Something's going to have to happen, but Barcelona will have to make up those 60 million in the summer in order to continue under the 1-1 rule. All right, so that's the news. Precautionary measure denied. Therefore, Barcelona will be forced to sell the VIP boxes. As I've said in previous videos, I think this is a terrible, terrible deal. This is a horrendous, big blunder by Joan Laporta, probably his biggest since he arrived at the presidency. I'm not going to be repetitive and say why. I've explained my reasons in plenty of times in previous videos. I'll let you guys go watch them because, again, for those of you who already saw it, I'm sure you don't want to sit through another rant of me complaining of why this is a horrendous deal. All right, let's do the chat section, and then we are going to talk about the price of Alexander Isak. All right, let's see. Luke, my man Luke, who's always in the podcast, says, "Hi, Mo. This is your good friend Luke. I'm at work, but still looking at the news, and thanks for all. Hope Barcelona goes to the 1-1 again." Thank you, my friend, for watching. I hope you don't get caught or get in trouble. Focus on your work, my friend. I don't want to get you in trouble. But thank you, my friend, for watching and for your message. Yes, I hope Barcelona will be able to reach the 1-1 rule. Supposedly, with this VIP box deal, they would be able to. But again, this will only be temporary until the summer, because in the summer, Barcelona are going to have to make up the other 60 million euros, which Libero are also supposed to pay us, which, of course, they haven't paid us. By the way, Barcelona have sued Libero. I get a lot of comments, Mo, why doesn't Barcelona sue Libero for the, for not holding up their end of the contract? They have filed a lawsuit. This happened months ago. I reported about it when the lawsuit was first filed. So there is a pending lawsuit against the German investment fund Libero for not paying, because out of the 200 million euros, they only paid 40. Insane. And look at all the trouble that they have caused Barcelona. Barcelona having to pretty much pull rabbits out of the hat, well, more like rabbits out of Jean Laporta's ass, in order to register players, thanks to all these payments that Libero have missed, because thanks to all these missed payments, Barcelona have not been able to achieve the 1-1 rule, and now we've even had to sell clubs' assets just to be able to register players. Jabba the Hutt says, I'm still not sold on Olmo being at this club. I feel like he will be Coutinho, good at the beginning and then fall off, whether due to his form or injury. I'll say this. I don't know if Dani Olmo is going to fail or not. I don't have a crystal ball. I cannot see the future. I hope not, because that would be a total shame to spend 60 million euros on a player. Plus, remember, the cost of Dani Olmo is no longer 60 million euros. These VIP boxes that Laporta had to sell in order to register Dani Olmo were worth 200 million. 200 million these boxes were worth. And of course, the Qataris are not stupid. They saw that Barcelona are desperate. They saw that we're racing against the clock, because tomorrow the registration of Olmo and Pau Victor expires. So they said, oh, it's 200 million. How about I give you 100? You're desperate, right? You need it right now. I'll give you 100. So now Dani Olmo's price is technically 160 million. 60 for the transfer fee plus the 100 million that we just lost on these VIP boxes. So I hope he doesn't fail, because that would be 160 million euros down the drain, not to mention all the money that we're going to miss from these VIP boxes for the next 20 years. That's a long time to sell a club's asset. That's 20 years that Barcelona are not going to be able to make money off those VIP boxes. And with inflation, I bet those boxes will end up being worth 400 million, and we got 100 for them. Anyways, so I hope he doesn't fail, but I'll say this. I'm not sold at the sign of Olmo, not because of Olmo himself, his skills or talents. I'm not sold because we never needed him to begin with. We had Gundogan, we had Pedri, Fermin Lopez, Pablo Torre, Rafinha, even Gabi, all players that can play in that attacking mid position. And we even have more in the academy who could also play in that position. Why the fuck did we spend 60 million euros on a player that we did not need, that we knew we could have registered on a position that not only was filled, was stacked stacked. We're telling Pablo Torre he's not gonna play a single minute because we have too many players. We had to let go of Gundogan because we were like, we have too many players. Fermin Lopez's development is being curtailed because we have too many players for that position. And then what do? We go sign another one that we knew we could have registered. Because, by the way, La Liga told Barcelona in the summer, before they signed Dani Olmo, La Liga told Barcelona, you don't have margin to register Dani Olmo. If you sign Olmo, you're not going to be able to register him. What did Barca do? They signed Olmo. How did we register him? By pure luck. And I say luck in quotation because Christensen had to get injured for us to register Olmo. So that's not even good luck because we lost a great defender. And what happened had he not gotten injured? What happened if Christensen wouldn't have gotten injured? Then what? We would have had a 60 million euro player sitting on the bench for the first half of the season because there was no way to register him. Absolute madness. Anyways, let's get back to the news. Speaking of money, speaking of wasting money, high pricing, whatever. But speaking of money, let's get back to the news because we do have to talk about Alexander Isak. As you know, Barcelona are currently studying the market, seeing what options are there in order to reinforce the center forward position. Maybe not this summer 2025, most likely summer 2026, because as you can see, Barcelona are struggling to register players that we already have. So there's no way we're going to be able to make big signing for the center forward position this upcoming summer, especially when there are bigger priorities like the left wing. That's the number one priority because we don't have anyone there. So Barcelona are currently in the market studying what are the options to sign a center forward. One player that Barcelona have been tracking for quite some time is Alexander Isak, the 25-year-old center forward who currently plays for Newcastle, who's been having pretty good seasons since his first season at Newcastle. And Barcelona have been very impressed. They've been impressed by his age, his potential, his consistent performances. In fact, last season, he finished with 25 goals in 40 matches. Not bad. And this season, he's on his way to match those numbers. So Alexander Isak is having pretty good time in the Premier League. And as such, this was one of the options that Barcelona were considering. Now, even though there are rumors stating that Alexander Isak might be looking for a new challenge, Newcastle have now come out because there's been a lot of interest in Isak, not just Barcelona. Other clubs have been circulating. So Newcastle has come out and said, look, we paid 70 million euros for this guy. He has a contract until 2028. He's a very important player in our team. Therefore, he's not for sale. But if you guys insist and want to buy him, he's going to cost, and I hope you guys are sitting down for this, 180 million euros. Yes, that's the price tag that Newcastle just slapped on the Swedish player, 180 million euros. Absolute insanity, but that's how the Premier League market is pretty much. Everybody wants to pay, crazy amounts for players. So then when they have to sell them, of course, they're going to have to ask for even crazier amounts because nobody wants to lose money. But 180 million euros for Alexander Isak means what? Means that there's no way in hell that Barcelona could sign him. Not only because we're not financially viable right now or not financially healthy, but even if we were, do we really want to spend 180 million euros on a player? Absolutely not. And definitely not on Alexander Isak. I mean, I'm not trying to knock the guy down. He's obviously an amazing player, very talented. But 180 million euros is not the category that I would put him at. 180 million is reserved for generational players. Lamine Yamals of the world. Those players demand that kind of price tag. Alexander Isak, again, excellent center forward, but I wouldn't say he's, at that level, the generational talent level. I wouldn't say he's at the level of the Lamine Yamals of the world. But anyways, that's my opinion. Either way, it doesn't matter. There's no way Barcelona could afford 180 million euros. So I guess we can we can close this chapter. Let's put it that way. I guess we could close this chapter of the pursuit of the Newcastle attacker. All right, let's get back to the chat section, and then we are going to talk about another attacker, Nico Williams. All right, let's see. Yamal's New World Order says, I've been a fan of Isak for years since his Real Sociedad days. I knew he was a baller, but I didn't know he'd grow into such a monster. He's everything you'd want in a modern striker. everything. I agree with you. At Real Sociedad, he looked like he had some potential. He looked good, but you never expected him to get where he is right now with Newcastle. I think like his move to like I remember when they announced that he would cost that Newcastle had paid 70 million. I said these guys are stupid. Like, what are they thinking? 70 million euros for Alexander Isak? He's not worth that, and he's definitely worth that now. Not worth 180, but definitely worth the 70 million euros now. Like he's like you're right. He has become an absolute monster in the Premier League. All right, Not the Gamer says, yo, Mo, what's cracking, my brother? I'm laughing at Chelsea. I know that Alejandro Garnacho is a Ronaldo D-Rider, but can't ignore that man. You want him to leave. Would you take him? No, I wouldn't. Look, I wouldn't because not only is he a Ronaldo D-Rider, like you said, but, he's making fun of Pedri, talking shit about Barca on his social media. You don't want a player like that. A player that doesn't respect the club is not someone you want in your locker room. Plus, Garnacho, I don't know, gives me a vibe of a troublemaker as far as inside the locker room. And the last thing you want to do is, put someone like that in the locker room and just, because that's like throwing a grenade in the locker room and just, blowing everything to pieces as far as the cohesion of the locker room. All right, let's see. Gabs says, Tebas do good job for Perez. If you're talking about Dani Olmo and Pau Victor, this has nothing to do with Tebas. This is not Tebas' fault. This is not La Liga's fault. This is not Florentino Perez's fault. This is Jan Laporta and the board of directors' fault. In the summer, La Liga told Barcelona before they signed Olmo, you're not going to be able to register him. And Barcelona still went ahead and spent 60 million euros on a player they already knew they couldn't register because La Liga had already told them before they even signed the paperwork. This is 100% Laporta's fault. He created this problem for himself. And then he gives away club's asset, not even sells them because, again, these boxes are worth 200 million. He's selling them for 100. He's giving away these boxes. So he has to give away club's assets for 20 years. That's 20 years that the club is not going to be able to make money off those VIP boxes. 20 years. Gives away club's assets for 20 years to register a player he knew he couldn't register, he knew he did not need, and yet spent 60 million euros on in the summer, and now he's spending another 100 million euros on in the form of lost income from these boxes. This has nothing to do with Perez. This has nothing to do with Tebas. This has nothing to do with La Liga. This is 100% Jan Laporta's fault. This is a huge blunder. And all for what? Because Barcelona has to always sign. We don't always have to sign players. It's fine if we go through a summer transfer market without signing players. What the fuck was he thinking? This is 100% his fault. And we'll see if it's going to end up costing him re-election. I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Cornell says, hopefully next season, the Libero purchase can be sorted out with a new buyer and then we can dance with 1-1. Hopefully, but, at this point, the damage is done. Giving away those VIP boxes to register a player that you didn't need, that you paid 60 million euros for, that has spent half of the matches injured, the damage is already done. All right, let's get back to the news. Speaking of attackers, let's talk about Nico Williams. Because, ladies and gentlemen, he remains Barcelona's main target for the left wing. Why? Because we cannot afford anything else. Yes, Laporta loves Rafael Leao and would love to have him at the club. What's the problem? We can't afford his price tag. Yes, Barcelona would love to sign Kvaratskhelia. What's the problem? We can't afford his price tag. And yes, Deco's favorite option is Luis Diaz, who we'll see, but most likely Liverpool are also going to want a lot of money for him unless he waits for his contract to expire. But by then, it might be too late. So Nico Williams remains the number one priority for Barcelona for the left wing because he has that release clause around 58 million euros, which of course is a lot more affordable than Leao, Kvaratskhelia, or Luis Diaz's price tags, plus a much more modest salary than those players as well. Now, of course, as I've mentioned before, Barcelona are not going to make any moves for Nico Williams unless he straight up makes it clear that he wants to leave Athletic Club de Bilbao. They don't want to go through the same thing as last summer where, yeah, we want to sign him. Yeah, we can't wait for him to come, just for him to turn around and say, never mind, I'm staying. So Barcelona don't want to go through that embarrassment again. So unless Nico Williams makes it clear, hey, I'm leaving, Barcelona are not going to make any moves for him. But it seems like he could be leaving, or most likely will be leaving, because even though Athletic Club de Bilbao have been insisting, no, he's going to stay, no, he's going to extend his contract. A, that hasn't happened. Nico Williams has not extended his contract. And B, Basque media outlets are reporting that Athletic Club are now trying to sign this guy. Now you might say, who the hell is this guy? Don't worry, I said the same thing. His name is Borja Sainz. He's a 23-year-old left winger who currently plays for Norwich in the second division of the English Football League. I think it's called, what is it, the Championship? Anyways, irrelevant. And so far, he's actually doing pretty good. Norwich are like, I think, 9th or 12th place. Like the club itself is not doing well. But despite that, this guy is killing it. He has scored 16 goals in 26 matches. And he is one of the best left wingers right now in the second division of English football. Now, his contract expires in 2026 with Norwich, which means that in the summer of 2025, Norwich are going to be forced to sell him. Otherwise, next summer, he leaves for free. And it's reported that Athletic Club de Bilbao are making moves to sign him for around 5 million euros. And the player wants to go to Athletic Club de Bilbao. He's always posting on social media, Athletic Club this, Athletic Club that. He's always tagging them in his posts. So he wants them. They want him. And it looks like they might be signing him for 5 million euros in the summer. And again, where does he play? In the left wing. In other words, it looks like Athletic Club de Bilbao are making peace with the fact that Nico Williams is leaving, and therefore they are looking to sign his replacement, which it looks like is going to be Borja Sainz out of Norwich. So that's the news. It looks like Nico is on his way out. Now, of course, it doesn't mean that he's going to come to Barcelona, but that does put him one step closer, because the first step for Barcelona to be able to sign Nico is for Nico to leave Athletic Club de Bilbao. This could signal that he's ready to leave. Then, of course, the second step would be for Nico actually to choose Barcelona over the 100 million offers that he has from all kinds of clubs in the Premier League. All right, that's the news about Nico Williams. Let's get back to the comment section, and then we are going to talk about Oscar Mingueza. All right, let's see. Noé Sanchez says Libero didn't pay, so that's a breach of contract. Barcelona should be able to take... yes, so that is the plan. Barcelona actually negotiated with a lot of investors to sell the portion that was sold to Libero to someone else. Unfortunately, Barcelona could not find any proper investors because all the investors that came forward wanting to buy the shares that belonged to Libero, they wanted more control of Barca Vision. And Barcelona wants to retain full control of Barca Vision. They want to retain, the direction it can go to. They want to retain the majority of shares. And all the adjusters wanted more control. Investors wanted more control. And Barcelona said no. So that's why Barcelona have not been able to sell those shares yet. But yes, Barcelona are planning or are working on selling those shares. And that was one way that Barcelona were hoping to reach the 1-1 was through either the Nike deal, which eventually did not work out, or through the Barca Vision deal, which again, they couldn't find proper investors for it. And Laporta's still negotiating, still looking for new investors. That's why he was traveling through Asia and the Middle East. And now they were forced to do the VIP boxes. Otherwise, had we been able to find a proper investor for Barca Vision, we wouldn't have had to give away those VIP boxes. And again, emphasis on giveaway. Angso Fernandez says, in the summer, we can sell De Jong, Eric Garcia, Christensen, Ferran, and Pablo Torre. That should be more than enough to get 60 million euros. Yes, but you're not taking into account the amortization of the players. When you sell a player, you have to also take account his amortization. So it's not the full amount that goes into the calculation of the financial fair play. Now, hopefully we're able to sell those players, because we wouldn't, Barcelona, again, are aiming to make around or raise around 80 million in player sale. And I think we have 80 million there. But if De Jong says, I don't want to leave, that's a problem. and there goes 40 million at least, because now his value has gone down all the way to 45. Christensen looks like he's on his way out. I don't know how much Barcelona will be able to get for him. 20, maybe 30. Eddie Garcia, 10, maybe 15. Eddie Garcia, I think he will leave, him and Christensen. Pablo Torre wants to wait until the end of the season. My guess he's probably going to end up leaving too. But how much can you get for him? Maybe another 10. Ferran, let's hope he wants to leave, because remember, the last 2 summers, Barcelona tried to sell him, and every summer he was like, no, I'm the shark. I'm going to stay. We'll see what happens. All right, Abdul Ghaffar says, hey, Mo, who or what position do we think we are signing for next season? Left wing is going to be number 1 priority. After that, the 2 fullback positions, but I think the left wing is going to be like number one, 100%. RB says, by the time the court announced to Libero to pay Barca, they're going to be bankrupt already and we won't get any. Maybe, hopefully not, but we'll see what happens with the lawsuit. Of course, I'll be following it. So whenever there's news, I'll be here to give you guys news. So make sure you subscribe and make sure you hit that notification buttons so you're notified whenever there's a new video. And the Matrix says we need 2 right back, a left back, left wing, right wing, another proper striker, and a keeper who is world class. I mean, we can't even register the players we have. So that long list, I think it might just be a dream list for now. John Williams says, hi, Mo. It feels good to join our podcast. I always enjoy listening to you. You're doing a good job. Please, guys, hit the like button, share, and comment. Biscasa. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your comment, and thank you for your reminder. Guys, hit that like button. It's the best way you can support this channel, because when you hit the like button, you promote a YouTube algorithm to recommend the video to other people. All right, with that said, let's do the last bit of news, and then we will do more comments. And then, of course, later tonight, there'll be another video, because Barcelona always keeps us busy. So there's always news. But let's talk about Oscar Mingueza, the 25-year-old La Masia graduate who currently plays for Celta Vigo, where he's having a pretty spectacular season. Actually, 2 last seasons have been spectacular for him. The last season was always also really good for him. So much so that he's even been able to break through into the Spanish national team. Now, given his really important role and good performance, he has caught the attention of many clubs, including Leipzig, who were reportedly willing to pay his release clause. Now, how much is Oscar Mingueza's release clause? 20 million euros. Now, Barcelona also have a buyback clause, which is worth 9 million. So technically, Barcelona could sign him for 9 million. So given all these rumors that Barcelona could be interested in buying him back, that Leipzig are ready to pay, that all these clubs are interested in him, given all these rumors, the president of Celta Vigo come out today and addressed all those rumors on whether Oscar Mingueza is staying or not. And this is what Celta Vigo's president had to say now. Sorry, my dog just started barking. All right, let's see. Why is this not pulling up for me? Okay, so it says release clauses are always there and anyone can pay them. Mingueza has been an important player for us, both on the field and in the locker room. He is an international, and I see him so happy here that it's hard for me to think he will leave. But in the transfer market, anything can happen. Maybe tomorrow I'll get a call saying someone has paid the clause. I believe he will stay with us. So the president of Celta saying, that he believes that Oscar Mingueza is going to stay at the club. And of course, you might ask, Mo, why do we care? Well, we care because Barcelona own 50% of the rights of the player. So if anyone comes and pay his release clause worth 20 million euros, Barcelona get 10 million. So hopefully Celta Vigo's president is incorrect, and hopefully someone will pay the release clause and Oscar Mingueza will agree to leave, because right now, given the club's financial state, 10 million euros would be a huge boost for Barcelona. All right, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do a few more comments, and then we will end this podcast. All right, let's see what everyone's saying. Yamal's New World Order says, Mo, you need to stop this. None of those players you mentioned are worthy of playing the number 10 role. Just because we were stacked doesn't mean we had quality. Almost the only one with skill. Pedri is way better than Olmo in that position. Let's just keep that. Let's just make it very, very clear. Also, again, if you don't have the money to register him, you just don't sign him. Period. I don't care if you think that Olmo is better than Pedri, which he is not even close. But even if you think that, if you don't have the money, you don't sign him. Period. I would love to drive a Ferrari. I currently drive a Mazda. Is the Ferrari better than the Mazda? 100%. That doesn't mean I'm going to go and get in debt to buy a car that I cannot afford. Basic economics. Finance 101. You don't buy something that you cannot afford, even if you need it, desperately need it, or even if it's an improvement on what you already have. You don't do that. Period. Finance 101. Nima says, I really need some proper good news from Barca. It could help me in dealing with the increasing hardships of my life right now. Me and you together, my friend. I hope things get better for you and for our club. And maybe, maybe they'll go hand in hand. Maybe the 2025 will just bring good news for everyone. And the Matrix says we should be planning for Musiala, Victor Jokic, Davis, and Trent. Instead, we can't even sign a puppy. Even if we're financially healthy, I wouldn't want to be planning for all these players because, you're talking about, I don't know, 300-400 million euros in all those players that you just mentioned. So even if we are financially healthy, do we need to be dropping 400 million euros on players? No, that's how we got into this mess to begin with. We shouldn't be looking, 1-2 big signings is fine. But when you start talking about a whole list, that's what got us into the mess that we're currently in. Who gives a fuck says, I think Laporta went. If not Nico, then at least Olmo. But this was a mistake if you ask me. 100%. That's exactly what happened, by the way. The number one priority was Nico Williams. When Laporta couldn't sign him, he was like, all right, well, I guess we'll bring Olmo because we have to bring someone, right? It's Barcelona. We have to have a signing, a big signing every summer. No, we don't. We don't have to. If you cannot afford it, don't buy it. Basic finance. Not the gamer says, Borja signs his class. He's top scorer of EFL championships. I like him. Hey, if that means he can help Nico Williams come to Barca, I'm all for it. Let's see. Street Fighter says, hey, Mo, is there a deadline to register Olmo and Pau Victor? Yes, the deadline is the end of the winter transfer market, which, if I'm not mistaken, is January 31st. So Barcelona have until January 31st to register both of them. However, in the meantime, so between January 1st and the 31st, if they're not registered, they can't play any competition until they are. Does that make sense? Because December 31st, the registration expires, so they can't play until they're registered, and you have until the 31st, January 31st, to register them. If they're not registered by the January 31st, it's over. They don't play the rest of the season. You have to wait until the summer transfer market to open in order to register them. All right, let's see. Lewis says, I agree that we didn't need Olmo, especially we didn't have the money. We have players now that can play in a 10 and the kind of players who will step up soon. 100% agree. Again, you can't afford it. Why the hell would you buy it? Makes zero sense. Triple X says, oh, please, Pedri is the worst in the role number 10. Almost way better. Again, if you can't afford him, you don't buy him. I don't care if he's better. I don't care if you think he's better. If you can't afford him, you don't buy him. That's how we got in this financial mess to begin with. Buying players we couldn't afford. Paying salaries that we couldn't afford. Giving out bonuses that we couldn't afford. That's how we got into this mess. That's how anyone, company, or human being gets in a financial mess. By buying things you can't afford. Guys, this is common sense. Finance 101. Don't buy something you can't afford. That's it. There's no more to it. All right, let's see. Mr. Bisset says, if Olmo doesn't get registered, then yes, B will have to step in. I'll solve it. Don't worry. Hey, man, if you could do it, I'm all for it. We believe in you. Glenn says, can we deregister Frankie and register Dani? No, you cannot just deregister a player. They have a contract. It's different when a player gets injured because since you cannot use them, La Liga allows you to put someone else in his place, right? But you can't just deregister a healthy player because you're taking his right from working, right? It's a labor rights, right? He's there, he has a contract, he's able, and you're telling them, no, we're not going to honor the contract and we're going to deregister you and you're not going to play. So anyways, that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in, for your likes, your comments, your subscriptions. I will be doing another news video in a little bit, so make sure to stay tuned to the channel. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, drop a comment, and as always, Visca Barça.